we spent the past couple of years in a crazy hot market. Louisville home sales decline as demand outpaces supply. Effective communication is at the core of any situation. If you master these two ideas, you'll have a chance of being successful at residential real estate marketing. I think you need to be looking for investment opportunities that move the needle. The market will never crash if demand exceeds supply. This is what I've been telling you all along.
This is the Jay Pitts Show. And we're back, folks. Welcome back to the Jay Pitts Show. I'm your host, Jay Pitts, here with Ryan Harris.
What's up, man? How are you?
A little extra pizzazz on the opening today. I always like it because it, like, looking at your all's faces when I say this stuff, you just kind of like, you have like a little flinch.
Yeah.
It's because we're in a quiet room and I've got a loud voice.
Well, we got to talk over the people outside, too.
This is also true. There's a party going on right outside my office, but that not an actual party, but like, you know, a typical real estate agent. Training just ended and people are milling around.
Let me ask you this. When you're in your office and your door's open, which it's open 95% of the time when you're here.
For sure. What
is the average, like how many average minutes go by before somebody else walks in your door?
I mean, I'd say some days, and I can probably break this down to days of the week. Monday, Wednesday, and Friday when we have regularly scheduled trainings, it might be like every 3 minutes.
Yeah. Because everybody's just waiting for that time to come in and talk to you.
Until like about, I don't know, Hannah, what do you think? 2:30, 3 o'clock, like it thins out pretty substantially by then. And that's just because the nature of agents, they are in the office. The ones that are in the office are in the morning. Our trainings are in the morning. They do their prospecting and their deal processing in the morning, and they typically show or preview property or prep listings or run signs or do the things that they have to do outside the office. They do those in the afternoon more often than not.
Yep.
And so on Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays, there's an added layer because the in-office attendance is higher because we have stuff going on and more people hang around and work afterwards. Tuesdays and Thursdays, it's kind of light, to be fair, all day. Just because I think agents are more used to coming in Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. I'd say Friday's the biggest day because Roundtable's the most attended training we do. And, Fridays, I don't know, people tend to have closings on Fridays, so they're coming in, dropping off stuff. When the door is closed, I still get knocks sometimes, but it's like so much, Ryan, it's open so much that I do feel like a good percentage of our agents feel bad knocking because they know it's just usually open.
Right.
And if it's closed, I'm either not here or there's a reason.
Yep.
Like yesterday, I had to get out like several listing agreements, fairly complex like paperwork that requires a bit of preparation. I'm like the only one that can do it. So like I closed the door yesterday afternoon and I could hear people talking outside the office that probably needed me, but they had to wait.
Yeah.
You know, everybody needs quiet work.
You need a different car that nobody knows is yours, that you like discreetly park here in a different spot that you don't normally park in.
I need like...
Because I think that's how people know you're here most
they
of the
do
time.
go back there and look sometimes.
Is Jay's truck here?
Hey, is Jay here? Like, originally I parked behind the building for that reason.
I think people might have forgot your old truck by now.
They might.
That could be a reason for you to keep it.
I still have the old truck. I could drive it and park up front in one of the visitor spots and nobody would know.
No.
But yeah, I do. I've heard
might get your catalytic converter stolen.
Oh God, I've heard that people literally go outside to see if my truck is here. If my door is shut, they go.
Did we even tell that story on this podcast yet?
The catalytic converter? I don't think so.
Do you want me to?
Well,
it's not like
we did tell it.
We did.
Okay. Hannah says we already got into it. Ryan got us. For those of you that didn't listen to that
you need
episode,
to start telling us when we
repeat a story.
Yeah.
Okay. She spoke up there. That was good.
Yeah.
It was like a month ago. Okay. All right. Well,
for those that didn't hear the story, I got my catalytic converter stolen out of my truck at 12:30 during the day on a Wednesday when there were about 40 cars at the office.
And the best part was watching
me talk to them.
People talk to them. Ryan talked to them. They drove right past multiple people. They sat in their parking spot while 5 different agents walked by them, and then somehow, some way, they
got me
on camera.
Yeah, they got me.
So
anyway. I'm sure they're telling their buddies the story of me offering to help
them because their car didn't go in reverse.
Yeah, and they parked in a spot that could only go in reverse. They couldn't go forward. So they still got me.
Still got it.
So this is making it sound worse for me.
Yeah. Well, all right. Let's move on.
All right. I have 2 poop stories for you, Jay. We've talked about
how I love those on the podcast.
We've talked about poops on this podcast a couple times. Just like
I think you've talked about poop.
Well, hey, they're good stories. So I'm gonna ask you which one's on the hot seat more. You haven't heard either of these.
I don't know either of the stories.
I'm gonna try to look up the other one real quick. I bet I can find it fast on Twitter. Just search FSU poop. Let's see. All right, so here's the two poop stories.
It just brings something to mind for me.
So,
sorry, hold on. Before you move on, wouldn't it be very telling if you got to like review people's search history like it was their resume?
Oh Lord.
Like I think it would be hilarious.
Yeah.
Some of my search history, like without context.
Well, let's be honest. At some point in the next 50 years, you're gonna be able to go search somebody's name in their search history, probably.
That's wild to me.
Like
that is wild to me, and I don't want to live in that.
Yeah, I texted my buddy who had AT&T. They said all those texts are on the dark web somewhere now.
Oh, wow.
And my buddy was like, "Yeah, I'm probably getting fired." won't reveal who it is, but
oh Lord,
All right, so these two poop stories. One involves the city of Louisville. Wave 3 News has been reporting on it. I'm sure most people have heard about this or seen the story, but they're calling him the serial porch pooper. So this guy, and like the whole interview is hilarious. They interviewed the homeowners and they like darked out their face and everything, and didn't distort the voice.
They didn't.
Like. One, I don't know why the person wouldn't want their face out there for this. Like, I don't know. It's just kind of funny. It's
would there be copycat poopers that
maybe
would like target them?
They didn't say the address. They showed the video of this, and this guy came back to the same house. I don't know if there's any updates, but 3 nights in a row, same guy wearing the same clothes. One night he just came up to the front door and looked in and didn't do anything. Comes back the second night, takes a poop on their front porch, and takes a pee on their front porch. Comes back a third night in the same clothes and does the same thing, and the guy tried to get out there to confront him, but the guy was gone already. They don't know why this guy's doing this.
He's got to be deranged, right? Homeless, wearing the same clothes for 3 days, mentally unstable.
Yeah, but why that house?
Why any house? I don't know. Like, because he had to go.
And it shows the video of him just pulling his pants down and taking a squat.
It's like a cat in a litter box.
Poops first, and then he stands up and pees. Like, he's done it 2 nights in a row. So
wait, he stands up?
Well, after squatting to poop.
Oh
You'd think he'd just do it all at once.
Oh, gosh. Right.
He's not trying to get out there fast, apparently.
I at no point thought that this podcast would be an authority on serial pooping.
We're finding out who's more on the hot seat, that guy or the FSU Florida State fan. So he tweeted out after they lost their first game, if Florida State loses to Boston College, I will eat dog poop and film it. They lost, and the whole internet, he just deleted all his social accounts everywhere, and the whole internet's trying to get him to follow through. Oh, people know who he is. They're like, people have his number, texting him, like, you have to follow through with this. If you put this on the internet, like, you have to do it.
I think this might be the internet's first loss. Like, internet's going to lose for the first time here because there's no way this guy does it. Like, if he went to the trouble of deleting all,
he could have
say the internet never loses. I think
he could have parlayed this into a influencer career, if you ask me.
Oh God, by what? Ugh. This is like a Black Mirror episode. I'm not ready for this.
Yeah. So which poop guy's worse?
Oh man. Well, I'm going to say the FSU guy because he brought it on himself. I'm going to choose to believe that the other guy, that the local porch pooper is mentally unstable and is just not thinking the way that he should, and that's why it's going down. But it reminds me of another story which does have a real estate connection. So as you're aware, long-term or short-term rentals are a very in vogue real estate investment these days. With the advent of Airbnb and VRBO, you can rent properties out. And a friend of mine, I will say, and fellow practitioner in the industry that does a lot of, and I don't own any, so this is not me just saying.
Let's be honest, Louisville makes it pretty tough to.
Yeah, Louisville makes it tough, and I get it. Like, they're protecting tax revenue and large investments of hotels and things like that. When you have to provide tax incentive financing for like the Omni to come to downtown, and it is a nice fixture of the downtown scene. you want to protect that, right?
Sure.
But we also have a need because we can't have enough hotels. Hotels are not sustainable for Derby crowds because Derby, no city has the hotels to justify 200,000 people coming to town for one weekend and then not for the rest of the year, right? So Airbnbs are a necessity here. Anyway, I digress. I don't own any short-term rentals, so this is definitely not me telling a story for myself. This is literally somebody else I know in the industry that is, I would call a friend. Showed me a video one time. They put Ring doorbells on all their stuff, and they have cameras all over their Airbnbs. Which, by the way, if you stay in an Airbnb, understand that there's not like the oversight that is like hotels. You could reasonably assume there are not like cameras in the bathrooms at a hotel. You can't really make that assumption at an Airbnb.
Sure.
So
Not saying it's allowed.
It's not allowed, but like I think you should, as a consumer that stays in these places, you should understand that. There's no regulator touring these properties regularly. So understand that. I digress. This person had an outdoor Ring doorbell cam and showed a video of a guest essentially doing what you said that the porch guy did on the front porch of his Airbnb, and did not clean it. Did not clean it. Like, did not do anything. I don't know if he was drunk. I don't know if he was high. I don't know what this guy was doing, but he stumbles out the front door and in broad day, not in broad daylight, but in broad view of the Ring doorbell cam, does his business right there on the front porch. And I mean, it was wild. And I said, well, I guess that guy paid a cleaning fee. Like, yeah, he kept his deposit, paid a cleaning fee. So that cleaning fee that you have to pay, that's why.
Yeah.
And there are punitive, obviously, other fees that he can charge. So they charge. They said, look, I got this video, and like, if you want to fight this, like, we'll do that.
We could probably get more.
We could probably get more out of you. Yeah. So anyway,
all right, we'll move on from
poop.
From poop. But hey, there were 2 poop stories in the news, and one was Louisville. So hey, slow news cycle.
Slow news.
NFL's back tomorrow. Chiefs and Ravens, I think. So that's exciting.
Lamar, first game of the season. Pretty excited about watching.
Speaking about Lamar, finally he's in a commercial. He hasn't been. He's finally a Gatorade commercial.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if he was waiting for his big contract or
I don't know either. I mean, Lamar has always been a little like interview shy, camera shy, like not like on the field, obviously. I mean, the hurdling the guy. I mean, like who hasn't seen that clip at this point? But like, the majority of his highlight they market him with his highlights. He doesn't do a lot of interviews.
Yeah.
So I think that may have something to do with it. He's obviously a different guy. He reps himself, or his mom reps him, or whatever. He doesn't have an agent, or does he now? When he was doing his contract negotiations a couple years ago when it first broke, he was negotiating himself.
Which, in retrospect, he only saved like $1.5 or $2 million or something.
Yeah.
So
I don't know.
Signing a $360 million contract, whatever it is.
Yeah. Pretty wild.
Yeah. Okay. So Louisville football, they look good. UK, they look good, even though it was a weird kind of situation with UK and the game getting cut short, fans being not let in while it's pouring rain, no updates from UK athletics. And I don't know, SEC, they have a rule with beer sales. You can't sell beer until the game starts.
Right.
So even they let fans in stadium and an hour and a half goes by. Nobody's able to buy a beer.
Yeah.
I mean, hey, that's a buzz killer.
Yeah. Well, I mean, for the majority of my childhood, they didn't sell beer at all at Commonwealth Stadium, which obviously is Kroger Field now. But like, yeah, I mean, so it, I feel like there's still a lot of people around that was the culture of UK football. And honestly, I think that was kind of unfortunate because, the college students would drink in such excess prior to the game. They'd be sloppy and they'd have a hangover by the time the game was over because it was like you couldn't just have a normal beer while you watch the game. I think that's probably why they went away from that.
We had some weird stuff in the Louisville news where Drew Diener and who else was it? Rick Bozich or whatever his name is. Can't stand either of them. We're going at Mark Weinberg for giving a weather forecast. Like, do you know what the definition of a weather forecast is?
It's a guess.
And it did rain that afternoon. It
later
poured after the game. Yeah. And they thought that's the reason people didn't come to the game. There were 40,000 people there for Austin P.
I mean, it's Austin P. Of course, nobody knew. I don't think I expected the blowout that happened. You know,
Our
was
quarterback looks good.
62-0?
Yeah.
All right, pronounce his last name. Is it Shuck?
I think.
Does it
I've
sounds
just been
like
calling him Tyler Shaw.
Yeah, just like round it off. Like I was expecting it to be Shuff or Show or something. I don't know. I'd never heard it pronounced until the game started.
He looked damn good.
But yeah, very, very good.
Our receivers are huge.
Receivers are massive. That tight end, starting tight end is unbelievably talented. They've got a backup tight end that caught probably the catch of the game.
Yeah.
Which maybe you could call him their packages, their offensive packages are so complicated now. It's like that maybe their actual starting tight end that like in tight end sets, and the other guy just like is a slot.
Yeah.
You know, a possession guy.
Are we going to do the NFL thing again this year where we bet one cover, one over under on total points? You know,
we could do
you know
that.
We did it last year
We could
for
do
a
that.
bit.
We could do that.
Maybe not this week.
Yeah.
I mean, we could look real quick on our phones too, but
Yeah, I didn't. I don't think I fared too well on that, if I remember correctly. I think I got blown out there. But you know, you're much more of an accomplished sports bettor than I am.
no.
I don't spend a lot. Well, you bet a lot more sports than I do.
Yeah.
I bet horse
Big,
racing only.
Big $10 bets out there.
Well, you know.
Okay. We'll move on to a listener question. So
Okay.
got all our little small talk out. This is a listener question submitted yesterday. It said, when should a buyer consider an adjustable rate mortgage versus a fixed rate mortgage?
Honestly, so it's been tough. ARMs or adjustable rate mortgages have not been in vogue because of the bond situation. There's not been much of a disparity or an incentive, if you will, to take an adjustable rate for the last few years, just because of the way the economy has been. You know, inverse yield curves and all that nonsense. Won't get into that too much. But, you know, obviously the spread makes a big difference. And so if, you know, the difference between a 30-year fixed rate and an adjustable rate mortgage is substantial, that's more of an incentive. If you're keeping the property short term, there's more incentive. You know, there's a lot of like negative kind of publicity, maybe. I think that's not the right word, surrounding adjustable rate mortgages. But there's just a vehicle. It's an instrument. There is a fixed period. So let's start by saying what that is. An adjustable rate mortgage is fixed for a period of time. There are very, very few instances where an interest rate is fully adjustable. Okay, typically it is fixed for a period, 2, 3, 5, 7, 10 years. Fixed for that period. It is amortized the same as a 30-year fixed rate. So, for example, if you were to take a 7-year ARM, let's say, and as you can imagine, okay, so a 2-year ARM is typically a lower rate than a 10-year ARM, right? So the longer the fixed period, the higher the rate. And they're almost always lower than a 30-year fixed. Now, obviously, if any sort of ARM is above the rate on a 30-year fixed, then you have no incentive to take it. So what the bank is banking on is that loan will be satisfied, okay, within a short period of time, so that then they can take and relend the money at market rate at that time. And you have to understand that banks borrow the money that they lend out. Right, so there is a spread. Banks make profits typically when they borrow at a lower rate than they lend out at, and that spread is the bank's profit. So as you can imagine, a rate of 2.5% to 3% has a very small margin of profit on it.
Yep.
And if it's tied up for 30 years, the bank doesn't recoup that money, and they're not able to lend it out at higher rates with higher yields. So, what they do is they give you an incentive to turn over the mortgage faster so that they can make sure that they're closer to market rates. It's just a risk hedge for the bank. So that's the reason. Big spread between a 30-year fixed and an ARM. More advantageous if you're only going to be in the property for a short period of time. Most consumers don't know that. But also most consumers don't stay in a property more than 5 to 7 years.
Yep.
So I've taken ARMs on my properties before. I have several investments on ARMs now. 10-year arms tend to like. You can get, when I was taking 10-year arms, I was getting them at a point lower than a 30-year fixed rate. I just have to prioritize paying those loans off sooner. And I have to have a strategy for getting to a place where I have the capital to pay them off sooner, or I need to be prepared to refinance them.
Cool. Yeah, it's just when people ask me about it, I'm like, well, how long do you plan on staying in the house?
That's it.
Like,
that's it. If you have a
obviously,
plan
when
and
rates are
execute the
3%,
plan,
you want to do a fixed all day, every day. But
if you have a plan and execute the plan, then you're not going to get hurt. I often say that, people take 30-year fix because they're afraid. They're afraid of what might happen.
Yep.
Right. So there
you think it's a little weird that both parties right now are trying to tackle home affordability, and I don't know, they haven't really put out a clear stance of how they want to attack home affordability. But when I hear that, they want homes to be less expensive, which to me is weird because 65% of Americans own homes. So when you say that, like, I'd say the majority of those 65% of Americans don't want their home price to decrease.
No, but we do, Ryan, have a shortage of supply, and if you could build more affordable homes, I mean, I think, I'm on record as saying that, first-time home buyers especially should probably expect less. They should lower expectations on what it requires for them to enter the game.
Sure.
And if we can produce inventory that is more affordable at slightly lower prices than median, I think that would be wise. Because the only way, I mean, you can improve home affordability a couple of ways, okay, or three ways. You can reduce prices, which you just illustrated why nobody wants that. Okay, now the caveat is what I said, which is create inventory at affordable prices, but builders have to be able to make money, right? So it's a complex issue. You don't just wave a magic wand. Price fixing is not the answer.
Yeah.
Okay, so you can reduce prices. You can increase wages, okay, which is a very complex issue also, okay, or you can reduce rates, right? Again, a very complex issue, all three of which have, schisms that can result from tinkering with any. So, I mean, there are steps I'm sure that can be taken to improve all three, and we should focus on all three. But I think we've made our bed to a certain extent, Ryan. And, campaign promises do not equate to policy in most cases.
Yeah.
Right? It's a very small percentage of a candidate's platform ever comes to fruition. It's popular to say in hopes of winning an election, and that's why both parties are saying it. But how you actually do it is you don't mint 80% of all dollars in circulation in the last 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
That was the solution, but we can't stuff that genie back in the bottle.
So we were talking, adjustable rate mortgages versus fixed rate mortgages a second ago. And I pulled up this article just kind of saying how long people have been in their homes and how it's changing.
Yeah.
So I'll go through a few statistics here. So 47% of Americans have lived in their homes for 6 to 10 years. 35% of homeowners have lived in their homes for 10 to 15 years. 16% have lived in their homes for less than 5 years. The average length of home ownership years is 8 years.
Okay.
The median homeowner tenure is 13.2 years, a 3-year increase over the last decade. So you're seeing as homes become more unaffordable and more expensive,
people staying.
Homeowner tenure is going up. So 1985, it was 5 years, and it's gone up every year to where 2021 is where the study ends. It's 13 years.
Okay, I'm going to give you what that makes me think. Okay. Because I think I draw a slightly different distinction. Yes, all the things you said were true. Okay, but I think that's driven by one demo in large part. Now, more millennials and Gen Xers are staying in homes longer, but not enough to skew those numbers, in my opinion.
Yeah.
They're staying in their homes longer because of low rates achieved, since 2020.
Yep.
Okay. But that's only been 4 years, right? So I don't think you could probably argue that they have any impact on those statistics because they're still in the 15% that have been in their home less than 5 years. And not 15%, but it was about 15. You can cite that statistic one more time if you want. What was the small? Did you move away from the screen?
No.
What was the smallest number? You said something like 15 or 18%.
16% have lived in their homes for less than 5 years.
Okay, 16% of so think about it. All those people moved in 19, no earlier. Okay?
Yep.
So all the Gen X millennial generation that upgraded with record home sale unit years, okay, in 2021, 22, none of those are accounting for extending the time beyond 5 years that it was in 1985 or whatever. Okay. I'm guessing that the majority of those are elder Gen X, but mostly baby boomer generation. And this falls in line with something I've said multiple times. Baby boomer downsizing is largely a myth. Okay. These people are aging in place. Okay. There's limited inventory to purchase. They're not selling their big, their big forever home that they ought to downsize out of because it's 3,000 more square feet than they need. Okay, they're staying in it, modifying it perhaps, paying it off, don't owe anything. Maybe they took a mortgage at a low rate to buy a retirement home in Florida in cash. I don't know, but they're not downsizing. Mm-hmm. And I think this tells some of that tale. And that number is going to keep going up as they age into being elderly citizens and stay in the same place they're at. They're in their first floor primary suite, right? Yeah. And never go upstairs, right? And they've got 5 bedrooms for, open when their kids come to visit and their grandkids stay.
Or when they pass away and their kids can't afford another home and
they move into it, I guess. Did I tell you, have I talked about, okay, we have to go to the official record, Hannah. Did I talk about investing in more expensive real estate
last week?
Okay, I think that's a very intriguing idea, even at lower positive cash flows, to make homes more affordable. And I do think that's going to happen. I think you're going to see a lot more millennial and Gen X move into their parents' home when their parents decease. Mm-hmm. I think that's going to happen.
Yeah. So here's a pretty good chart on this. You might be able to decipher some stuff from
expected length of length of tenure in home after purchase from starting from 2020.
And while you're looking at that, so it talks about by
age.
Yeah, the average first-time home buyer age has gone down from 34 years to 27 years. I think is what it says, and that's only changed in the last few years.
Okay, so 16 plus years of ownership tenure. 55% of people 55 to 65. Okay, so look at this. So if you're between 55 and 65 years old, 1% live in their home less than a year. 5% live in their home 2 to 3 years. 9% 4 to 5 years. 2% 6 to 7 years. 19% 8 to 10. 8% 11 to 15. 55% 16 plus. Yeah. And the same virtually holds true. Almost the same exact numbers hold true for 66 to 74. So if you're between 56 and 74, prime boomer age,
yep.
Okay, there's a 55% chance you've been in your house more than 16 years.
Yeah, it's crazy.
So it's almost exactly what I just said.
Yeah.
Almost exactly. How amazing is that? I'm kind of smart sometimes.
Yeah. Well, and the craziest thing about that is a lot of these homes are going to need major updating when they're time to sell.
Dude. I mean, I bought one. 2 baby boomer aged dentists. They were both husband and wife were dentists. They moved to Denver, and I bought a house that was built in 1997. Okay, and complete gut cosmetic reno top to bottom. No surface was untouched. Every wall was painted. Every flooring was changed.
I remember it took you a while.
Oh, dude, it took me like 6 months.
Yeah.
But I mean, just is what it is. Now we got a nice house.
You know, it's crazy. You can build a spec home in less than that.
I know. Well, I mean, I did it while I was doing everything else.
Yeah.
Too, so.
You lived in it during some of it, right?
Lived in it during some. Master or primary bath reno, I was already definitely in.
So I was, we were kind of talking about the market a little bit. So NVIDIA.
Yeah. I've heard something about them.
Yeah, they had a big drop.
Well, it's antitrust, concerns.
Correct.
Which is crazy because, like, I mean, didn't the government pretty much, didn't Congress pretty much, like, pass the CHIPS Act and, like, empower them above all else to kind of remedy the disparity between, like, the amount of chips that we manufacture versus, like, Taiwan?
Yeah, it's something
Like,
insane. So,
well,
but
the
NVIDIA
concern is that something like 98% of the world's chips are made in Taiwan. And obviously there's concern that the Chinese Communist Party is going to essentially seize control of Taiwan because they're right there. And then we'll have a stranglehold. Like, I mean, serious business. Like your phone, the chip in your phone comes from Taiwan.
Yeah.
But like everything we do, computers.
Just some of the numbers behind NVIDIA are crazy, though. That's kind of why I wanted to bring it up. But first, so what happened with NVIDIA yesterday? They were subpoenaed by the DOJ. Stock finished down 9.5%. It's their worst day since March 2020. Their market cap lost a record $279 billion. But NVIDIA does $1 billion in profit every week. $1 billion in profit every week, dude.
$52 billion a year in profits. Well, and for a relatively small company compared to like titans like Apple or massively profitable companies, that is nuts.
Like people talk about building a unicorn startup and how hard it is. So $1 billion, and that's just $1 billion in revenue a year is a unicorn. They're doing $1 billion in profit a week.
Yeah.
But also very interesting.
So crazy statistic also. Okay. And I wish I had this date. Okay. Because I'm stupid. Apparently I said I was smart a minute ago. Now I'm going to tell you how stupid I am. So 2 years ago, right? NVIDIA trades on NASDAQ. Okay. 2 years ago, they were trading. So we're talking September of 22. Okay. They were trading at $13.46 a share. And currently, okay, they're at 108 after a big drop, but peaked at 128 recently. 128 a share. And I remember the first big jump, which was probably like from like 13 to like 18 a share, and thinking to myself, man, I missed it. Because it came out, it was when the CHIPS Act. We need to look this up. Okay, Ryan, I don't want to talk too much politics.
Well,
when was the CHIPS Act passed?
I don't know. You want me to Google it?
No, I got it right now.
So while you're pulling that up, I'll talk about Nancy
The
Pelosi.
CHIPS Act was signed into law by President Biden on August 9th, 2022. August 9th, 2022. On August 9th of 2022, okay, NVIDIA, I can't even get back that far, actually. I have to go 5 years. August 9th of 2022, NVIDIA was trading at like $12 a share. And now they're at 128. And I thought, wow. I read an article that said, wow, there's like the largest domestic chips producer in the U.S., like, and the CHIPS Act just got passed.
Yeah.
It might be a good idea to buy that stock. And I watched it bump, and I thought, I missed it. And then so I didn't do anything, and like 1,000% increase later, here we are.
Yep. So interesting, Nancy Pelosi. She's been buying NVIDIA for the last 6 months heavily. She sold every share of NVIDIA the day before the drop. Yeah.
Oh my God. She's probably buying it back.
It's pretty crazy.
Back after the drop.
I need to just
Did she
invest.
short it?
There,
Just-
I'm pretty sure there's an investment app now that you
just
can
follow
just like
celebrities?
give it, just put like $1,000 in, and it'll just her, just trade how she does when it's reported.
This stuff is so wild, man.
Like,
and she ain't the only one. Let's just be
No,
fair. You know,
Definitely not.
intellectually
They
honest.
all do it.
So Dan Crenshaw, a Republican congressman from Texas, famously, he's the eye patch guy.
Yep.
He was a former Navy SEAL, lost his eye, you know, serving the country. Certainly appreciate his service, but like he's the same way. His net worth is like 100x up since he went.
Well, I'm pretty sure he basically said, like, if we can't trade, why would any of us do this?
He did.
Yeah.
Dude, that's a quote right there. We gotta find that. That is wild.
He didn't say that exactly, but it was something. He did say something like, it's not really worth it if, like, we can't trade.
Dan Crenshaw quote. I'm gonna find it, Ryan.
Okay. I think it's so hard to find things on Twitter now.
Yeah,
The search.
I
I wish the search
search
was
on
as
Google.
good as TikTok's.
I search Google. TikTok search is awesome. TikTok suggests searches that you didn't even know you wanted to search. Like, you know what I mean?
knows
Like,
you better than you
it
know
knows you better
yourself.
than you know yourself. All right, let's move on.
Okay, if you find it, we can bring it back up.
Sure.
All right, moving on. Back to real estate. So, what's something that you think every agent should bring to showings? Reason I'm asking this question, I saw an interesting one I haven't heard of, and it was from a Broke Agent Media article. And this agent brings a clothes hanger to every showing because they say in a lot of closets they'll try to set where you hang the clothes back in the closet to make it look bigger. And like when you try to put a hanger on, it'll hit the wall. And
That's funny.
Not whether
seen
it's
that.
true or not. I do think if you tell your clients that, they're like, oh, this person's thinking of something I never would have.
That's pretty cool. I mean, if that's what you want to do, a tape measure, a flashlight.
And I will say your phone flashlight is not good.
It's
enough.
not good enough. You need I used to have a mag light, and that thing would people would be like, "Whoa, you're serious." You don't have to go that far, but some basic tools. I think you need to have a little toolbox in the back seat of your car in your trunk. Tape measure is a great idea. You want to get really, really super cool. Get one of those laser pointer tape measures that have a digital readout. That's pretty cool. The closet thing is interesting. Now, I will say specifically, I've run into that issue in the Highlands or Germantown where the closets are modified or the rooms that are turned into bedrooms and whatnot, and the clothes literally have to hang sideways, in the closet. You can't even have a rod. That's kind of sketchy when you don't notice that, and people will get very frustrated. But I've never noticed people making closets seem larger by moving the rods back. That seems like a little extra.
Yeah, I've heard of agents bringing a golf ball to set on the floor.
Golf ball for the floor, tennis ball if you don't want to be that dramatic. Tennis ball works. I've certainly seen that. But that's when
Thing is, though, if the floor is not level, walking.
Yeah, of course.
Yep, it's sloping down there. I can feel it walking on it. And what are you going to do about it?
As a realtor, there's a number of things. I used to keep a water shutoff key. One of the T deals in the back of my truck, just because you never know. That's more I'm a listing agent and my seller doesn't live here anymore, and I'm worried about a running faucet or something that I can't shut the water off, and I don't want the house to get damaged. But basic realtor toolkit. I mean, you need some of this stuff.
Yeah.
It's probably a decent idea to have a first aid kit because wild stuff happens on showing sometimes. I hit my head in every basement, and I've literally drawn blood before because I just don't think that I'm going to smack my head on the rafters of a house with a really low ceiling height in the basement. I just don't. Somehow it is lost on me.
I'm sure no bad words come out of your mouth.
Oh,
when you do
dude,
that.
it's awful.
Hitting your head is one of the most painful things.
You got to work. You got to work with clients that are
okay.
that are chill.
Yeah.
In that case, they're like, "Oh yeah, let it out, bro." But that's it. Booties for your shoes. Maybe if you step in mud, you don't want to get it on people's houses. I mean, that's a decent idea. Ladder. That's a wild one.
Well,
if you're showing investors a drill, if you're showing investors and houses are boarded up, you need a drill
When I
to get in.
first got into real estate 6 years ago, and you passed a client off to me, and she brought me a painter suit to wear out into the field. You remember who that was?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I do remember
We were
that.
walking streets, like, there's going to be ticks everywhere. I was like, I guess I'll put this on.
That's a good idea. Like, hey, thanks.
I didn't bring it, but
Yeah,
I guess
but she brought it. I mean,
yeah.
you could have done that. I mean, I've done that in instances where I'm working with an investor and I know the house has some, like I've been told the house has fleas or bed bugs or something like that. But I mean, sometimes you got to get you got to do things like that if you want to get a good deal.
Yeah.
Investing.
Well, I'll tell you what I use too. If I, for some reason, don't have my tape measure in my car, I have a tape measure app on my phone, and I've tested it versus a tape measure. It's so accurate.
Well, hey.
And the good thing about it, I can measure it and take a screenshot of the room with the measurements and send it to the clients instead of them having to write it down in their notes app.
For sure.
So,
Yeah. I can see all that.
just things you think you might need. The clothes hanger was just a different one I've never
Clothes
heard
hanger is
before.
interesting. I've never heard that. It's a bit extra, but that is certainly, like you said, thinking of something the client would never think of.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, moving on. Disney versus DirecTV. So this has been a big thing the last few days because the football season's about to start.
Oh, yeah.
But Disney basically,
Which, I mean, obviously Disney owns ESPN, so.
Correct. So Disney versus DirecTV, a recap. What's going on? So Sunday night, Disney pulled its channels from DirecTV, ESPN, ABC, Freeform, and FX. Why? Disney says DirecTV is undervaluing its portfolio, specifically sports. DirecTV wants lower costs, smaller options for customers. How Disney and DirecTV's 2019 contract expired with no new deal in place. When last year's similar dispute between Disney and Charter took 2 weeks to resolve, currently no timeline in place for a deal with DirecTV. And I think what DirecTV is going to learn here, football wins.
Oh, guaranteed.
I'm sure they've already lost a ton of customers from it.
It's really interesting to see because, I don't know if you're hearing this, but there's a lot of buzz about how much less value the movie industry and even to a large extent the music industry has. They've lost the value of these industries. Television, like television itself, even with series, like everything is going to complete streaming on demand. The commercials as they existed aren't valuable. There is no value. I mean, if it wasn't for the baby boomer generation, cable news would be over. Elections and politics have to an extent saved some of the audience. But it's really interesting to watch these industries morph, and you're running into these situations where you have these crazy contract squabbles because the sports is the only thing people watch live anymore, right? And it's because they're invested in the outcomes.
Yep.
Like you don't watch series, like when's the last time, even if it's a series that you really enjoy, like, I don't know, good example would be like the House of the Dragon was really, the sequel series to Game of Thrones.
Yep.
Very loyal following, juggernaut type audience. I think very few people sat down at 9 p.m. on Sunday night to watch that. They watch it at 10, they watch it the next day, they watch it whenever, right? But there's no more appointment television that's not sports. I mean, the NFL does it best. Yep. We know that. College sports have struggled to keep pace. College football is still a powerhouse. Some other like lesser or non-revenue sports have gotten better. Really interesting what's going on with the WNBA right now. Haven't seen that, right? Historic increases in viewership really with anything else recently. That's pretty cool and exciting to watch. And all the drama that comes with it is funny too. But
I wonder what somebody could buy the Indiana Fever for right now.
Dude, I a whole lot more than they could have last year.
I know.
Is the thing.
I still think it would be a good.
Is it the Chicago Sky?
Yes.
Also,
Yes.
like this whole, and I'm curious to know, do they really not like each other, or is this a little WWE like face and heel type situation? And I'm not even sure which is which, because like it seems like Angel and why am I blanking on?
Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark.
And Caitlin Clark, Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark. It seems like they play into it. Do they?
I don't know. It would be smart if they did.
I think it's better for them both if they do.
They're both making a crap ton of money, so good for both of them.
Good for both of them, man. I mean, for real. And it's funny. Like every time I watch a video that says, on TikTok or Instagram Reels, it says that, Angel Reese leads the WNBA in offensive rebounding, and it's all off her own shots. Like it just makes me giggle. But both generational talents.
So here's something interesting for you. You were talking about it's a little WWE. I saw in our meeting just a second ago. I was scrolling Twitter trying to find some stuff to talk about on here because, hey, slow news week. But there's apparently like some document. I'll just read this tweet to you. Travis Kelce has reportedly brought in his legal team after a leaked contract surfaced, allegedly detailing the exact date his relationship with Taylor Swift would come to an end. Most Hollywood marriages are fake and exist solely to boost your image and fame. And there's a bunch of accounts reporting on it now. Now, I don't believe anything I see on the internet anymore. No. But, hey, get people stirred up before the NFL season starts. It'd be great.
I saw that. I thought about bringing it up, but the couple of accounts I saw were not, entirely reputable. And so I gave it about as much credence as I could give anything that I see on X. But
so here's this guy Colin Rugg on Twitter reports on pretty much anything and everything. And Travis Kelce's team did make a statement after alleged breakup contract, and the statement, so Full Scope PR is a PR company that currently represents Kelce. They said, Travis and Taylor have decided to part ways after careful consideration. They both value and respect each other's personal lives and appreciate your respect for privacy during this time. Asking for privacy like somebody passed away. And they said the contract's completely fake and made up.
Right.
Which I'm sure it is.
It probably.
Yeah, I'm sure it is. So
I don't know.
So no more Taylor Swift NFL games this year, I guess.
Or maybe they're just still together
that would be the best PR stunt to say you broke up and not actually.
To get people interested in it for another season.
Or just to get people off your back.
Yeah, maybe.
Which I think is hard to do.
Well,
two of the most famous people in the world.
I mean, they would be seen together. The people that always killed me were the people that tried to act like he was the same level of famous as she is.
Yeah.
And I'm not a fan by any stretch, right? Like my wife loves Taylor Swift. My daughter is in love with Taylor Swift. That's all cool. I don't love the music. I'm not a hater.
When Jay and I play golf, he tries to put Taylor Swift on every time, and I have to tell him, you can't do that.
Can't do that, bro.
Can't do it.
I just... So anyway, the machine that is Taylor Swift's career and business.
Now, we were playing golf one day where your music started switching on Spotify to Taylor Swift because...
No, it didn't, did it?
Yeah, because I think you share a Spotify with your family, and they were in the car and started playing something else.
That did happen, actually, and we had to stop listening to music because my kids steal my Spotify from time to time.
Which, an Apple Music family plan is cheaper than a single Spotify plan now.
That's smart.
Yeah,
it's smart. It almost feels like
everybody says also Apple Music quality is 1,000 times better.
It almost feels like having an Android phone though to me. So I don't know.
Even though it's an Apple product,
it's an Apple product, yeah. Apple Music is the Android of music streaming.
Yeah, Spotify is better at playlists, but there are things about Apple Music I like more. So
okay. I wouldn't know. It's just like I can't really argue with Android users because I don't know what the phones do.
So, all right, one more question, and it's real estate related.
Okay.
So, laundry rooms. Do you think upgrading your laundry room in your house, I would say it's probably a fairly inexpensive upgrade, but I think you could make more than your money back.
I like laundry room upgrades. It's something that everyone dislikes doing. And making it a more pleasurable experience, easier to do type experience, I think can add. I love large island folding tables if there's space for it. I also love combining a laundry room with a pantry. If you don't,
That's what we're doing in the house we're building.
If you don't,
and it's paneled, so it's going to be like completely hidden, not know it's there.
Yeah, that's
Push
cool.
through a door.
That's really cool.
Pantry, cabinets.
I
laundry
love
room.
a good like butler's pantry, like a walk-in pantry with tons of storage. Get all of your like kitchen appliances off the countertop in the kitchen.
Yep.
Get them put away. You also like recessed cabinetry facing in actual kitchens. Have you seen this? They call them appliance garage maybe. It's like where you have these doors that essentially fold down on the underside of your cabinets.
Yeah, I've seen those.
And it you set your stuff behind it, so you just get a uniform look. You don't see a backsplash. You see cabinetry under the cabinet.
Yep.
That's kind of a cool idea too. But like, if you can get your stuff off the kitchen counter, like that's, I think, for my feng shui, like peace of mind, I like that. I've also I have 3 young kids, and so our house is just inherently cluttered, and I hate it. But as my wife said last night, we'll be sad to not have the clutter one day.
Yeah, it's just something I was thinking about. I've been showing homes to some clients, and we've seen a lot of good homes, but for some reason it's older homes, and the laundry room's in the basement. It's not even really a room. It's just where your washer and dryer hooks up, and it's just very bad how it looks. I don't even know if I would trust it, and I'm fairly certain they would make a full price offer or above if it was a really good laundry room.
Well, what's wild is, I feel like your purchasing decisions are made a lot of times to serve, like, I don't know. So when I bought the home I was in prior to this one, I moved from the Highlands. I lived in a Cape Cod with a finished upstairs master suite.
Yep.
Right. Old kitchen that we had renovated to make as good as you could make it, but there was only so much we could do. We had, driveway and street parking, right? One of us parked in the driveway, one of us parked on the street so that we didn't have to move each other's cars to get out.
Yeah.
We could obviously fit 2 in the driveway, but prevented the do-si-do every day. We had old plumbing and terrible water pressure and, things like that, right? So like Highlands, we were paying for proximity to lifestyle, right, in that first house. And we moved to a 8-year-old construction with an in-ground pool, okay, with an amazing master suite. The thing I was excited about most, Ryan, was a rear-facing attached garage that I could pull in and not get rained on bringing in groceries.
Yep.
Right. I loved having a walk-in shower, and a big master bath with dual sinks.
Yep. That
I didn't have to like fight for elbow room to brush my teeth. Like, and my wife was jacked about the pool. Obviously, that was her thing. But like, I think you always try to solve for the annoyances that you have in your current situation, and you don't really consider all the things you could have in a lot of cases. When I moved from there to my second house, or to my third house with my wife, I wanted to completely renovate the house top to bottom and get it exactly the way I wanted it. But there's still things I don't love, right? And if we ever move again, I think I'll probably focus in on those things to solve for them.
Yeah.
And there will be other things I miss.
Well, you definitely notice when you're helping buyers by what age they are.
Yeah.
Younger buyers don't have as many preferences, but as they get older and older, there's very specific things these buyers are looking for, and it's because they've lived in a bunch of homes
experience.
and know what they want, what annoys them,
what moves
they
the needle.
love.
Yeah. Like, I don't have a walkout basement. It's like one of the things I've always wanted. I've never had a walkout basement. I wanted a daylight walkout basement.
Yeah.
Like, would love it. Like, if I could change one thing about my house, I would have a bigger backyard with a walkout basement, and Jen could have a pool. And like, that would be cool, but we don't have that. That's not in the cards for this house.
You have a pool not too far away now.
Well, I have neighborhood pools.
Yeah, but you can't
the club pool. And
yeah, the nice thing about a pool at your house, you can lay out there at 9:00 at night.
Yeah.
And
well, the cool thing, yeah, but you can't order dinner and
Or
have them bring it to
margaritas.
you, or a margarita.
Yeah.
And like, anyway, but yeah, we have first world problems. I'm not gonna complain about that.
Yep. So all right, that's all I got, man.
All right, good show. Appreciate it. Appreciate all of you for for joining us as you do every week. Just as a reminder, you can find us anywhere you podcast. Spotify and Apple are preferred follows, reviews, shares, anything you would like to do to help us promote the show. We certainly do appreciate that. You can also find us on all the socials at jpittsrealtor, at ryanharris.re. Share clips of the show. It's always fun. Interact with us. However, Ryan's got one more thing before we take off.
Yeah, I just want to say too, if you're listening and you wanted to tune in to hear if we talk about the NAR settlement and all the changes that are happened, we've talked about that in the few previous episodes. We're not wanting to harp on the same thing over and over again. As things change, sure, we'll talk about it more, but it's not good to just harp on one thing and beat a dead horse. So if you want to hear any of that, last few episodes, we've talked about it. And like I said, we'll talk about it as things change more.
I mean, we had a meeting right before this podcast that we're recording right now where we talked about a lot of changes. And we do have some ideas and some things on how we think the industry will grow and develop as a result. But again, this is not a one topic show. So we've tried.
Clearly not.
We've tried to stay away from it. If it's not really impactful, we don't want you to grow to know us as just that one thing. So you get a little bit of goofing, a little bit of porch pooping, a little bit of nonsense, U of L sports, and some listener questions, and we try to tie it back to real estate. But we hope you enjoy listening to us. We hope you continue to do so. So like I said before, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and anywhere you social, you can find us. And until next week, we will see you soon.
Peace.